and welcome to Juicy Scoop. We have so much to get into, and I also have a great Real Houses of Beverly Hills Juicy Scoop interview with Crystal, the newest housewife, and she really reveals a lot, and I couldn't believe how much we had in common. So I think you guys will be surprised. But first, before we get into the Beverly Hills news, let's get into some hot topics. OnlyFans. Wow. Well, OnlyFans, you know how much I've talked about it. You know that Brandon has made me promise that I would never have an OnlyFans account, that my career would never get to the place that I'd have to do that. And as you know, OnlyFans is a place for creators to go and do whatever they want, but it's really been known for being sexually explicit. Nudes, it gets hardcore. There are to the point of sex shows and things on people's private pages. And the good news is that it's made sex working a safer place, a place where they're not paying someone an enormous amount. Then we saw that other people were getting on OnlyFans. And Dorinda's on there and Sonia's on there. And you're like, what exactly is this? OnlyFans has reached out to me via email saying, Heather, I really think that you'd be great on this. Anyway, now they have said, based on them being so huge and them having these strong banking investors, they will no longer allow explicit nudity on the OnlyFans site. For some people, it's not going to make a difference because they were celebrities that were just showing like super sexy naked photos. You can still do naked photos. You can't do something explicit like show, I guess, porn or insertion of anything, things like that, or, you know, full masturbation, stuff like that. They're no longer going to allow. So for some people, they're going to be really bummed. Other people are going to be like, good, I was competing with that stuff. Now I can do this. And then apparently they're really trying to get into the space of more cooking and fitness and comedy stuff and all of that. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes, but it's somewhat of an end of an era. This was pretty interesting. Now, I really don't watch Jeopardy that much, but my kids and my husband kind of do. I mostly don't watch it that much, never was into it, because I know so few of the answers. As you know, Alex Trebek passed and is no longer the host of Jeopardy. Well, yeah. Okay. So there's this guy, Mike Richards, and he was the EP of Jeopardy, but he's also the EP of Price is Right. And there was some type of contest of who they wanted, and he won. And people were like, and they kind of like accused him of rigging the contest, whatever. Anyway, he has just stepped down because after it was announced that he would in fact be the new host, they found out that he did a podcast in 2013 to 2014 called The Randoms, R-A-N, and then D-U-M-B-S. Kind of funny. In it, he says he hates trivia and that he's terrible at trivia and he doesn't know anything. Okay, that was one thing that someone was like, he said this on this podcast that no one listened to. And of course, the podcast was still living on Podbean, on Mike TV, podbean.com. So they listened to it. The other thing they found out was that he had a female co-host and they were talking about people taking nudes of themselves and sending nudes to people. And he asked her, have you ever done that? She said, yes. When I feel cute, I have. And he's like, what, like booby stuff? And she said, I'm not telling you. And he goes, let me see your phone. And she refused. The other thing he did was he said that one-piece bathing suits make women look fat and frumpy and they're not attractive. That is what I read in this article. That all came out. He also, when he worked on Price is Right, there were a couple lawsuits that were settled out of court where some of the female models felt that they were not treated well. One of the female models was pregnant. When she told him she was pregnant, he's like, what? And I just let 5 other girls go? And she interpreted that as like, well, shit, if I knew you were pregnant before, you're the person I would have let go and I would have kept this one. Yes, of course, not okay, Anyway, so he has since said, with this bad publicity, I won't be the host of the show that I EP. But I guess he's going to still remain the EP, the executive producer of the show, but he won't be the host of the show. Then the girl, I'm saying her name wrong, but the girl from third. I was gonna say Third Rock. Well, hold on, Big Bang Theory, who's like a math wizard in real life. Anyway, she was then going to be the host, and then they found out that 10 years ago she said something about vaccines. So they're like, "You're out," or maybe she's still saving herself. Here's my thing. Listen to me, celebrities and TV people that make the majority of your money on TV. I know there was no TV making in 2020. I know you got the call from your agent at CAA or William Morris. Get a podcast. You can do it from your home. You can do it on your bed, and you're going to make so much money. And you can still do all your projects, and everybody wants to hear your amazing parenting advice. Whatever. These celebrities are like, all right, I'll do this thing that all these other people are doing and making money at. Why not me? I actually am a huge TV star. So they get on their bed and they start talking about their life and talking shit and talking to their friend, talking to their neighbor, whatever. No one's listening. Okay? Then the thing dies or continues on. Listen to me. If you're not making a lot of money from this now, and the contract's about to run out, and if you're not getting much of a response, you're like, what? I thought I'd be right up there with Joe Rogan, and you're not. Get out of it now. Take down your podcasts, okay? Because if you can make a career, if your career is in television, being a TV host of some sort, you cannot have an opinion. If you gave your opinion on a podcast, you better hope that your podcast is in the top 10 and that this is your final career. Okay. Thank God I have an opinion, and thank God I use it, and it's working for me, and I'm able to have this wonderful career. And on occasion, people are happy enough with my opinions that they will still allow me to be on TV. I think the only person that's clean appears to be Michael Strahan. He can host. I don't know how much we expect this guy to work. I don't know how many more shows he can have, but he's clearly the only person that has never said anything offensive or mean to anybody. I want to go on record and say, I think in kindergarten, I wasn't that nice to this kid. I may have called him a poopy head. I don't know. If that person comes forward, I'm not going to probably deny it. I don't know why I did it. I feel really badly about it. I've grown a lot. In fact, I've grown over 45 years since then. So people have to, I don't even know what to say. I kind of feel the pendulum is going to swing so far because they're going to run out of people. Nobody's going to be able to do anything, and no one's going to watch this boring stuff because it's going to be so vanilla and boring. So, I'm not saying I want this guy. I think it's weird that the executive producer made himself the host, but I just think it's interesting. Oh, by the way, then he took it down. Now, the stupid podcast that no one listened to back in 2013 that he forgot that he did was living on Podbean at miketv.podbean.com or something, and he just removed it with a long apology on Tuesday. So that is my PSA to the huge stars that are living in their $7 million houses that started podcasts that are doing it for fun because they think the world wants to hear their every thought. Think about it. Think about it. There's a job around the corner that's going to be given to you, and then you're going to get the call as you're driving on the Paramount lot that one of your dumb podcasts from 2020 said something that is not okay. And now turn around, take a Yui, get out. Your job is getting replaced by Michael Strahan. Okay, let's talk about Britney just quickly. What's going on? There was a weird development. Just a couple days ago, TMZ was the first to come out with this info, which is interesting because they're always the first people to come out with Britney news. A lot of people, a lot of Britney fans and Free Britney people believe that there is some connection to TMZ and Jamie, her dad, Spears, and the people that want her to stay in a conservatorship, that they feed them this story first. They get the story first. it is, in fact, a housekeeper of hers said, or as Ramona would say, a domestic assistant, um, is claiming that she physically touched her in some way, attacked her in some way. The sheriff's department out in Ventura County, which is Thousand Oaks is in Ventura County, is currently investigating it. So a report has been made by the domestic assistant, and then, but they said to TMZ, there's no physical, there's not a bruise on the woman's eye, there's nothing like that. It's just her story. So maybe there's cameras, maybe there's another person at the house to back it up or back up Britney. I don't know. But, you know, if you read this and you're like, whoa, you know, maybe this little leniency that she has now had, maybe this isn't good for Britney. Maybe, you know, she's not taking all her meds and she's lashing out at people. I don't know. I also was corrected by you guys that Jamie, the dad, is not out of it yet. He says he would step down providing he does not get sued or criminally prosecuted. So, I don't know. You know, this happens with people that work in your home. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not, but everything has to be investigated. So we'll see. But just interesting that TMZ are the first to report it. I mean, an interesting thing I saw that I didn't even think about is when, you know, she really had a breakdown and they put her in the ambulance when she had the two or one of the little boys in the bathroom with her. And they put her in the ambulance. Literally, the cameras were inside the ambulance as she was being evaluated before they took her to the hospital. And that was all over the news. Like, how is that not a HIPAA violation, you know? Okay, so, you know, we'll see what's going on. Oh, thank God Brody Jenner is listening to Juicy Scoop or Spencer Pratt or us both. He did an Instagram story where he shaved off his locks. So it was like just long trestles coming down. And then he put them in a bag and he wrote "For Mom." And I can't even tell you how much I love this story. I love the story that Brody Jenner is the best looking person on earth. I love that he cut off his hair. And I love that he sent it to his mom. Because his mom might have said, if you ever cut that, can I have it? And as a mom, I just kind of love their relationship. I also want to say I've called Chris Frangiola a meanie pot on more than 10 occasions. So, because he was being mean. Okay, let me see what else I want to talk. I want to talk about White Lotus really quick. I am 3 to 4 episodes in. It is the best show. Sorry I was late to the party. I know it just concluded last week, so I will be caught up by next week. I did not realize that Mike White created, wrote, and directed it. He is my favorite television and filmmaker. I have loved everything he's done since the mid to late 90s. He's amazing, and it all makes perfect sense because everything about this show is so real, yet funny, incredible characters, incredible acting, love, love, and love. And I read that the second season is coming, and I don't know if I'm ruining this for you because I don't even know what happens with these people because I'm only 2 or 3 episodes in, but it'll be at the White Lotus, which is a Hawaiian resort, but it'll be a whole new group of people and a new story. And I love that idea. Kind of like every season is like an episode of Law and Order, you know, just it's different cases, and the lawyers and cops are interesting, but they're not that important to the series. Why Law and Order has been on for 25 years. That's why. So if you can come up with a show where these big stars are only committing to 6 episodes and it's a one and done, then move on. I just think people will be dying to do it, dying to be part of his comedic genius, and then, you know, but not be tied into something for 7 years. So I just think it's like a brilliant Hollywood move. Jennifer Aniston, we talked, Sarah and I, about, is she dating David Schwimmer? Well, we both didn't know if he was married, divorced, ever had a kid. Yes, he married a girl who was 19 years his junior in 2010, named Zoe. They got divorced in 2017, and they currently share a daughter named Chloe, who's 10. I don't know if Jen Aniston and he are together, but that's nice that if so, I could be a little stepmother to a great 10-year-old who is sparkling and funny and innovative. And this generation of kids are just, God. David and I are just so, and I'm not stepping on the mother's toes at all. God, I enjoy talking to her and watching great films and documentaries. And okay, let me see. So now let's talk about real quickly, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Wow. Well, an article came out. The episode was all about Erika Jayne being confronted about where is this $50 to $80 million that once was supposedly Tom Girardi's, which is no longer his. She has no idea where it is. And where is the $20 million that went to her company? Well, it went to her company over the years. And page 6 comes out and they basically explain, first of all, Erika Jayne's attorney is saying that no money whatsoever went to Erika. However, and that she never had a role in managing her husband's company. But the trustees' lawyers claim that from 2008 to 2020, $14,259,000 and change was charged to her a card that she used, which was an American Express card. Her company also spent $1.5 million, $1.5 million and more at the McDonald, I have no relation, Selnick Associates Agency, which describes itself as the first agency dedicated to represent dancers and choreographers exclusively, plus another $1.4 million on unknown purchases. There's more details than that, but she had an assistant for a while that used to work for Kim Kardashian. She had some makeup people, but it was like minor, like $1,000 to makeup by Mario. So that was probably his daily fee, $1,000. I told you that I know that she paid all of her makeup and glam and dancers and choreography the top price. Whatever they asked, they got, which is why they loved working for her. Why they were at her beck and call, is why they were always available for her. And she liked, I'm sure, having that power. And money talks and bullshit walks. Money talks, bullshit walks. So the thing is, did she know? Well, she did see these things about the lawsuits. Someone wrote to me saying that their husband at one time had a partnership with somebody, and the partner was doing something illegal, but they knew once letters came in about a lawsuit suing their company, and the partner did say, "Oh, ignore it. Let the attorneys take care of it." But her husband didn't ignore it, and then they had to sell a lot of things to get out of this mess, end it with the partnership to keep them free from having any criminal criminal accusations. So she did know about the lawsuits, and I think that is why she left him. But the question still remains, same question I said on the Hulu doc, did she really know? Or was she given this opportunity to spend carte blanche, whatever she wanted, and she didn't want to ask, she wanted to eat the burger and not ask where the cow was, or whatever that expression is. She didn't want to know. She didn't care. And, he had a girlfriend, and she had her gay dancers and people around her kissing her ass and having the time of her life. So it's all catching up to her. Now I get to talk to Crystal, who is the newest housewife. And we do talk a lot about her life this season, what's going on. And I think you're going to really love it and really get to know her better as a person. And she's really quite genuine. So here we go with Crystal from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I am here with the newest Real Housewives of Beverly Hills sensation, Crystal Kung Minkoff. Just found out what high school you went to, girl. Welcome.
Thank
How
you so
are
much.
you?
I'm good.
Thank you for coming back to the 818. Your roots.
I always say I live 818 adjacent.
Yes.
Where people ask me because I'm so Valley proud. It's not even funny. Me and my friends have a hashtag 818 stop the hate.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we love 818.
Mine was 818 till I die, but that was from a comedian friend of mine who lived in Reseda, and he used to say it at the Comedy Store, and I was just like, oh my God, this is the funniest thing I've ever heard. You're from Northridge,
Yep.
and you just told me, because one of the questions was, what high school? What,
Yeah.
Chaminade.
I went to Chaminade for middle school and high school, and
Nice.
Sierra Canyon for lower school. The year
wow.
that I went to middle school, they opened like 7th grade at Sierra,
Oh,
but my
okay.
brother had already started Chaminade, so we already
Yeah, mom
were-
doesn't want to go to 2 different
No.
schools.
So, and it was great because my friends from Sierra ended up at Chaminade for high school. So,
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but this is like my hood over here.
I love it. So you'd go to that Northridge Mall?
I used to work at Finish Line
Oh,
and Wash
nice.
Station in high school at Northridge Mall.
That is great.
Yeah.
God, you're younger than I am, but was there the like that golf place and the water park and stuff there in Northridge?
Where?
In Northridge.
Oh, well,
I mean, it was when I was really young. Maybe it wasn't there. Who cares? So everyone's like, "Shut up, Heather. No one cares." Okay, so well, we're speaking about the brother, the hot brother.
oh my God.
I love. What is the story behind him growing up here and then going overseas, becoming a pop star?
I know, it's
What is the
super-
story behind your brother?
It's super random. My
So
brother,
he's just a little older than you are.
so I'm
How old-
38
oh,
and
okay.
Jeff just turned 40.
Okay, great.
Contrary to everyone thinking I'm a lot younger based on Google.
Well, based on your looks.
No,
because
it's not.
what is it? Black don't crack, but what,
Asian no raisin.
Asian no raisin. Yes, so true.
I like to think that, but I don't
Yeah.
know. So Jeff went to Michigan.
Yeah.
And I went to UC Irvine.
Okay.
And we both studied abroad in China. He had studied abroad my senior year, so it was his sophomore year.
Okay.
And he just called us and said, like, I think he got discovered, and I think the management was looking for American-born Chinese at the time.
Oh, okay.
Because China was just opening, really. And
While he's in China,
While
he
he's
gets
in China,
approached. Oh
yeah.
my God.
And then he called.
You leave Hollywood to become a
Yeah, I know.
discovered.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, my trajectory was medical school. He
Oh,
was going to go
really?
to business school. Like, we were just kind of classic Asian American Valley kids.
Okay.
and then he called us like, oh, they want me to do this demo. My mom is like, what is that? You know, I don't even, totally out of the realm of our whole lives.
Yeah.
And he did it, and then he's like, they want to sign me, and my mom's like, over my dead body, like, you're going to finish college, and like, this is not a job that you're going to
So
do.
he gets approached at what age to start being?
He was like 19.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he always sang, like, Jeff and I sang at Chaminade, like, in jazz band.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so.
I did vocal jazz ensemble.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah.
so similar.
Yeah, yeah.
So we rose in band, and, but we always thought it was cool. Like, even it was nerdy, like, nerds are cool, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so he just signed the deal, and then my mom says, as long as you finish Michigan, I'll let you try it. And so he flew back, finished school within like a year, and then went back. And then he released an album, and then it won MTV Best New Artist Asia.
Wow.
I know, it was really weird because we were just in LA watching it happen. But it was so like
And so
far
this is
away.
like 15 years ago?
20 years
wow.
ago, yeah. And that year is the year I met Rob. And so I think my mom was...
We need to know all about meeting
Okay.
Rob. Okay.
But like that
Yeah.
helped my mom and dad sort of have more open mind to Jeff pursuing something in the arts.
Other than like science and medicine?
Yes.
Yeah.
So so that's what happened. It was really... And he has been doing it ever since. He
Is he single?
He's single, I think, yeah.
I mean, are people just besieging? Like, are you just besieged with like horny chicks that want to meet him?
Yeah, and men, he
Okay.
said. But, you know, he was engaged last year.
Did you like her?
Loved her. But I just think the COVID, I call it a COVID casualty.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I said, like, life can get really hard with kids and everything. So if you guys can't make this work in this
good luck.
environment.
I always say, like, if you have to go through if you're doing like more than just like one or two just like counseling to get ready to get married? Like if you're in
Yeah.
full-blown therapy before you get married, I say no.
Yeah, it's just, you know,
Yeah,
and if
good
you guys
luck
are meant to be,
good luck to you,
then
yeah.
you'll come back together.
Yeah.
But Jeff is currently single, and yeah, he's like, I have a lot of men and women DMing me. I was like, okay. But he has a lot of women in China.
So where does he live
looking.
right now, though?
He lives in Shanghai.
Oh, okay.
But we have a house in Beijing, Rob and I, and he's in Beijing because China's in lockdown, so you can't go city to city. So he's at my house now.
Okay.
Which is
Okay.
fine.
All right.
So he's comfortable, and he's turning on the water for me, so it's fine.
It was so cute because I'm like, wait, he's like a Manny uncle, superstar singer, doing cartwheels like in the.
I know, I called him
this?
a nanny because it was funny, but
Yeah.
like he's, you know,
Yeah.
he's not really, but he's, you know, I grew up in a very traditional Chinese household, and when they say it takes a village, it does, and everyone chips in. And plus,
And your parents were not born here.
they were born in China, but they
they-
met here in the States, in LA.
And they both came over how old?
My mom came, I think, like late 20s.
Oh, okay,
My
wow.
dad, 30s.
Oh, they were like full adults.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
But
okay.
my dad was 23 years older than my mom. So they came very different times of China and the States.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then you marry Rob, and he's how much older than
20
you?
years older.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so how did you guys meet? Everyone's wondering how you met.
So I was a sophomore in college.
At Irvine.
At Irvine.
Uh-huh.
And I actually threw my mom a birthday party, like a surprise luncheon at Bistro Garden.
Wait.
Is there, I know the Valley.
Right, in Ventura,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh my God.
like such a Valley
That
game.
was such a good place to have like the luncheons.
Totally. It was
and
like-
the bridal showers.
Yes, it was the luncheon. So I
Yeah.
hosted this like luncheon that my dad was like, yeah, do for mom. You know, my dad wasn't really like that kind of guy, but he's like, yeah, if you want to, you know,
Yeah.
like you do it. I'll
Yeah.
just come and pay for the, you know.
Yeah.
And I threw this little surprise lunch, and I remember I was like so exhausted because I put so much work into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a kid, and, you know, I wanted it to be like so perfect.
Yeah.
And then my friends had texted me like, "Do you guys want to go to a birthday party tonight?" And I was like, "No." And I remember lying on the couch. Mom was like, "Go! Like you did so much for me today." Like she was like high and, you know, so happy.
Yes.
And she's like, "Go." So I go to this party, which was in West Hollywood at this big studio.
Okay.
And it was Rob's office that he was hosting a birthday party for his friend.
Now, who was the friend that had the connection to this party?
I had some girlfriends who were older than me. They were like, you know, the LA party girls. Like
Yes.
there's that whole thing. And it's so funny because I hung
I
out
had
with
those
them.
friends, too, yeah.
Everyone has those friends.
And
But
then it
I
wa-
wasn't like that.
It was
I'm-
always like driving up some hill off of Sunset.
Yes.
And you're like, this sounds like a good part. I was like, if
Totally.
there's ballet, I'm down. Like, it would be like, and then you're just like, okay, this is like kind of fun. Yeah.
Totally. That was like
Yeah.
my sort of teenage college years.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think Rob was always sort of weary of those, you know,
Yeah.
there's like all those girls and they were older, and we went to this party, and then I met Rob there, and we just talked, and he's like, "You're very different." And I think also because I was in college, I had my path, so I wasn't like looking for, like my friends were 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
But I was not looking for anyone. And then we just met, and then he called me the next day, and it was always under this veil of like, we're friends. Like I didn't think about dating him.
Yeah.
But then he called me the next day, like asked me out on a date. I was
So
like, oh.
you were like 19.
I was 20.
You were 20.
Yeah.
And he was 40.
40.
And did that like freak you out, or did you want to almost hide that from like, were any of your college friends like at least
he didn't
bit
know
judgy
how
or
young
anything?
I was. So he didn't know.
Yeah.
Until and I was like, I would never lie. But like, I'm
Yeah.
such an open book in general. I'm like, I'm proud of being
But did
20.
you have a fake ID? Like, could you get a cocktail out with him?
So no, I didn't have a fake ID, and I remember we went to like I soon turned 21, but
Yeah.
I didn't drink anyway,
Yeah.
so it didn't really matter. I was a really buttoned up kid, like
Yeah.
you know. Even though like I went out and stuff, I would never like go out and drink. I just
Okay.
liked the idea of like getting into a club
Right.
somehow.
Yes.
But I was never that kid.
Yeah.
So I remember he like took me to Mr. Chow for dinner, and you know they bring the champagne thing, and I was like, oh, are they gonna ask me for an ID? But I didn't drink, so I was like, I'll have an iced tea because I don't drink anyway.
Yeah.
So
you
it
still
was-
not drink?
I drink. Oh, after I had Zoe, I'm like, it's 9 a.m. I'm like, where's the cocktail? You know. So now I'm like now I'm known for like my cocktails, which is so
Yes.
funny.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're making
so I
good
went from
drinks,
like
yeah.
lightning speed of becoming like a cocktail drinker, but I also like, even though I love to make I love it because I love hosting and stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't really have a lot. But no, I wasn't a drinker then. And so that's how we met.
So
And,
you go on the fancy date.
well, our first real date was the Finding Nemo premiere. Oh. So he asked me the next week, and I remember like, whoa, this
Wait,
is
now
so...
was he involved in that, or he just was invited?
He was directing a movie for Disney,
Oh,
so
so
he
he
was
just
there
got-
for like press, to do the press line.
And so he did the red carpet, and you're there.
Yes, but
you,
I didn't walk the carpet with
So
him.
you just go around.
He had his handler walk me
Oh,
around. It was my
okay.
first premiere.
Yeah.
But he's like, when we got there, he's like, I'm not walking with you. I'm like, that's fine. I don't want to walk. Like, he's like, he can't be like public with me on our first date. I was like, that's fine, But I also don't care. Like, it wasn't a thing of mine. And I think he loves to tell the story that that's when he was like very interested in me because I didn't want to walk the carpet.
Oh, and now look at you now.
I trust me. The joke is not like unseen. Like, it's ridiculous, the whole thing. Like, I don't even know how I'm here. But so it just wasn't my thing. But I never thought about it.
Yeah.
So that was our first date. And we just had been together ever since.
And when did you know, like, he's the one I want to spend the rest of my life with him?
I always felt that he was, like, he checked all the boxes. But for me, it was... I said every Sunday we go to San Gabriel Valley and we see my grandparents. We have lunch with my whole family, and you gotta show up. And he did every Sunday. Like he's a big director, and he had his big life, parties and whatever. And it was like he made sure to carve out it was like 4 hours. You drive there for an hour back. It's a big deal, and
Maybe he was just going for the really good food, though.
Well, fair.
Yeah.
Fair. That was 90% of it. But the 10% he showed up.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of like sort of innate rules of like the eldest sits on the inside of the table. And he's the type of person who's always used to sitting on the inside, right? You get the best seat. And I'm like, no, you're like on the kid's side. You're the new kid. And he was so respectful of it.
Yeah.
And he it not only respected, loved it.
Yeah.
He loved the whole family tradition.
culture
Yeah,
and
loved
all
it
that
all.
stuff. Yeah.
And so I'm like, if you get my family, so just that alone was special.
Right.
And he and my brother are like this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my God, they're on the phone all no one calls me. I'm like walking in, they're talking. They hang
Does he have a brother?
He has two brothers.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
But
he
your
and Jeff-
brother doesn't have a brother.
No.
So that's really nice.
Yeah. But they just really connected, and obviously family is my thing. So if my family loves him, it's a
So
home
how
run.
long did you guys date before you were engaged?
3.5 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we
And
waited
did you
till I
have
was
a
out of
big
school.
fancy wedding?
A big fancy wedding.
Where was it?
It was at Saddle Rock Ranch in Malibu.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we were in China when we were engaged. He was directing a movie, and we literally took the whole set, put it on a container, and rebuilt it and made it look like 1920s Shanghai.
At the Saddle?
Yeah. We built the whole thing. It was
Wow.
wild. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And Cheryl Cachetto, of Sequoia Productions, she does the governor's ball and everything, so she did the wedding. And I remember
Nice.
thinking, she was like, oh, this is like a piece of cake. It's like such an easy thing because she does huge events, which we loved because we were in China.
Yeah.
We flew home only 3 weeks before our wedding because we were there for a year.
And you have the bridesmaids, the whole thing?
The whole thing. My
Oh my God,
cousins,
that's
my friends from
awesome.
Chaminade.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Oh, my God, that's
And
great.
they're still my best friends. I was talking to them last
I was
night.
just asking you that. I was not asking. I wrote down the question.
Yeah.
I was wondering, because now you have, even before Housewives, just, being a wealthy woman, and having a very, very nice home and, a different life than maybe the Valley friend who still, I'm sure, is living a nice life. But, it's a different level. Was it ever odd or weird for anybody, or was it always just really great? And what a score that my friend married a great guy and we can go to her house and swim.
Yeah, it's because I met Rob so young.
Yeah.
He was always super inclusive of my friends.
Yeah.
Even though I had a very kind of middle class life.
Yeah.
Definitely meeting Rob was a lot bigger.
Yes.
But he was I was like, I want my friends, I feel bad. And then he would pay for them to travel with us.
Yes.
Because I don't want to not be with my friends.
Yeah.
So but Rob is he grew up with no money.
Mm-hmm.
So
Where did he grow up?
He grew up in Palo Alto.
Okay.
So he never had his own bedroom or anything. He lived in a 1,400 square foot house with 4 kids, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so he had a very sort of also middle class. When I say no money, he had money, but not
Right.
he didn't have what he had today.
Right.
So he really understood that, and he's super down to earth, and so it was never an issue. And yeah, I want my friends to be with me. They never, because I never treated them differently. Like,
yes.
Yeah, I have friends who live in Van Nuys in a condo. I go hang out there.
Yeah.
Like, that's really my life.
That's really good. But sometimes it's not the person, and especially now that you're on TV too, sometimes it's not the star or the wealthier person that changes. It's the friends that then, or the people from that feel like, well, she wouldn't want to be invited to this birthday party in my backyard because it's just a little birthday party in my backyard. And then you see that you've been excluded and you're like, well, what did I do to piss you off?
Happened.
That's good.
No, my core is still my core.
That does still happen to some people.
Sure, but I think also because it was so young. It wasn't like I married Rob in my 30s,
right?
And then my life changed.
It's been your life, half of your life has been.
Half my life, yeah. They
Rob.
grew with me in that experience.
Yeah, I love that.
They were my bridesmaids in my extravagant wedding in our mid-20s, and I'm on the phone till midnight with my friend from Sean Nuts to this day. Like, it was never like that. But also because I never made them feel that way. Because it's not really, I think the sort of glamorous life is, they know who I am. And they also know that glamorous life can be a facade. And it's not fake. It's just that Hollywood is like that. Like, the people who work in Hollywood, it's a hard job.
Yeah.
I think people think it's like all day long, you're just, on the red carpet.
It's 16-hour days of standing and waiting. And you're like, it's
they don't know. So they know that.
Yeah.
If they come to set, to visit me and Rob or something like that, they're like, it's work.
Yeah.
But that's great. They're my core.
I love that.
Yeah.
Tell us about the escort agency job that you mentioned.
That's when I watched it, Rob's like, wow, that really just was very quick blurb. So I had a friend who owned, it was like, at the time, remember those like LA, like those free papers?
Yes.
And you see the girls on the back?
Yes.
So I was asked my summer before going to UC Irvine, do you want to work as one of those girls?
Yes.
And her boyfriend owned one of these like advertising companies. It's actually an advertising company.
Okay.
It wasn't but it gets sort of whittled down to like,
I mean,
it's like a blurb, like they like the kind of funny blurb.
Yes.
Like escort agency. Like,
yes.
And I did say because it was in the vein, but it's not an escort agency. So it was an advertising company that advertised escorts.
Right.
But escorts can be, they run the gamut, right?
Well, now it's, whatever now it's
it can be anything.
Now it's whatever. Yeah, it's a much broader thing. But I'm thinking 90s, I'm like, is this some Heidi Fleiss?
No. But by the way, it was sort like in their world.
Yes.
But it
would have been 2000s for you. Yeah.
But it was like, so there was an office on Sunset, and I was like, okay, I'll take a job,
Yeah.
And they would come in or call us, and we put them on the paper.
Oh,
but the phone was directed to them. So we never got calls. So we weren't interacting. They just paid us like $100 a month to be on the paper.
Oh, okay. Got it.
You know what I mean? So it was an advertising company that advertised girls.
Well, that, like you said that, and then people are like, well, is that how she met her husband?
Know, but we laugh at that. It's like,
I love that you can laugh at it, and it's not getting weird,
Well, when it's like, I always say this, like when people ask these kind of questions, like if this is pink, I see pink here.
Yeah.
If you're telling me it's green, I'm just going to be like, laugh it. Like, okay, it doesn't really matter what you think because I know it's pink.
Right.
So if things feel like uncomfortable because I'm hiding something, then I'll be like, but we just laugh. I'm like, Rob, look. He's like, oh, people are finding out the truth. I'm like, shut up. So that was before I met even Rob anyway.
Right.
That was 2 years prior.
Yes.
No, but that was like a fun random, like that was my personality. It's like going to clubs. Like I was very like straight and arrow, buttoned up, but I love those kind of little things that I did.
Little exciting things.
Yeah, little exciting things.
Yeah.
So my mom's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to my job. What is advertising? She's like, what? Okay. So like, because I always had good grades.
Yeah.
So it didn't really matter. But yeah, it was fun, and it was 3 months.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, I love that. Okay, so now you're doing the show, and a lot of people wanted to know, how did you meet Kathy Hilton?
So Rob's producing partner, so Rob directs, his producing partner is Jason Clark. His wife, Kimberly, who they've worked together for 20-something years. They became like my best friends because they're best friends, like really close from the day I met Rob. Kimberly was married to Barry Hilton, who is Rick's brother.
Oh, okay.
Before she married Jason. I mean, they have kids in their 30s, so this is a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
So Kimberly and Kathy were sister-in-laws.
Oh, at one time.
At one time.
Oh, got
So they
it.
sort of got married at the same time to the
Super
brothers.
young, yeah.
To
Yeah.
Rick and Barry.
Yes.
And so they've maintained close. But since Kim has been my best, I mean, like every day we're with them. So when they would get together, I met Kathy.
Got it.
And so our first time I remember meeting Kathy, they were opening the Wynn. And Kathy was invited by Steve Wynn. And then I went with Kim.
And how long ago was that?
15 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But when did they
Wow.
open? I think it was 16 years ago. So I went with Kim, and then we met Kathy there. And so I've just always seen Kathy throughout the years.
Yes.
Because our original connection was because they were sisters.
And did you watch The Housewives?
Yeah, I watched.
Okay, so you like religiously, like you're like a fan, you were into
Yeah,
it.
I know I watched
so
it.
you knew everybody.
I mean, sometimes I would skip something, but yeah, I knew the players.
And was this the first year that they approached you, or had they been trying to get you for a few years?
First year.
And so
I'd never, it was never on my radar.
you never thought,
No.
oh, I'm a cute girl who lives in Beverly Hills.
No. I don't think that. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm a mom. I have a coconut water company, and I'm a Chinese kid from the Valley. Like, no, I did not. No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was the weirdest. Yeah.
So who calls you for? How did they first approach you?
I got a text from Teddy.
Oh, Teddy Mellencamp.
Yeah.
And were you friendly with Teddy?
So Teddy is her best friend group. She's like a squad of like 5 girls.
Okay.
Megan, who went to Louisville,
Oh, okay.
is one of my best friends.
Oh,
Because
okay.
there were all of us met really through Mommy Group.
Oh, okay.
In the Valley.
Great. Yeah.
So I think she just thought Crystal, like, if she knew anyone that she'd throw in the hat.
Yeah.
So she texted me, "Are you interested?" And I wrote, "No." I have it all in text. So funny.
Yeah.
And she didn't even say about what. I just knew, and I was like, "No." And she's like, "Come on, why not?" And I said, "I just don't think it's for me." That's my initial, and she's, she's like, "Just take a call." And I said, "Okay, I'll let you know." And then I told Rob, and Rob's like, and I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I got a call," because you hear so many people of your
Right.
friends get calls. It's
Oh,
my first
okay,
time.
yeah.
Like a lot of people get that first initial call.
Yeah.
And this was 2 weeks after LA's lockdown.
Yes.
So we're just like sitting there doing nothing. Rob's like, you could look forward to something this month. There's
Yeah.
nothing to do. And Rob's like, "You're not going to get it anyway. Like, do you know how hard it is to cast things?" And it wasn't even like we wanted it. It was just, he's just like, "Have fun with the call."
Yeah.
And it just I kept getting calls.
Yeah.
It would never end. And then I was like, "God, Rob, I should just tell them, like, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm going to waste their time." And he's like, Rob's the person who's like, you just go
Yes.
until someone gives you an offer and then you stop it.
Yeah.
Because at this point it was so sporadic. It was like
Right.
every few weeks a call, and then we would.
You'd almost like forget about it. And then-
Totally.
Yeah.
Did not think about it.
Yeah.
Until later, until like a few months before
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was they were going to pick, then it started getting more real. I was like, this
Yeah.
is a little scary. And that's how it happened. It just kept going. And then Kathy called me.
Okay.
And she said, "Do you want to do it?" I was like, "No." And she's like, "Come on, like, I know you. I know who you are as a person. And, like, why don't we do this together?" And I was like, oh, God, if Kathy's doing it, it made me feel much safer.
Yeah. And like with all the housewives of different franchises and stuff, and who truly have some serious skeletons. And by skeletons, I mean not paying taxes for 7 years. Like, and I think sometimes they do have a difficult time finding the people of this economic status where the husband or they're like, yeah, we're clean. We can
Right.
do this and have a good time and get, in a positive way and not worry about that one of us are going to go to prison. I don't know if you're aware, but like Real Housewives of OC, there's a new girl, Noella. I did not know that her husband was Sweet James, the attorney that I hear on the radio all the time.
I didn't know. And I was going to Costco yesterday
Yeah.
and I saw it on Victory.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the guy.
Like, I listen to regular, like, local radio when I drive around, and he's on all the time. Like,
Okay, I didn't know
as
that.
Sweet James, hey, personal injury attorney. You know, I did not know that was her husband.
Yeah.
So he filed for divorce. It had already come out that he owes something in the range approximately $5 million. So, you know, that's OC. Then Potomac, it just came out that Giselle's, you know, on again, off husband.
I know nothing
the
about this. I
pastor,
don't watch Potomac.
This just came out.
Okay.
Well, he apparently didn't pay taxes for, I don't know,
So she's
since
a girl on the show
2011.
now?
Yes. She's fine financially because she's not with him.
Okay.
But
That he
he's
hadn't
been
been.
on the show and everything. And apparently he, according to Radar Online, owes somewhere in the $5-7 million back taxes. I don't know, or liens, or maybe it was
That's a lot of
800,000.
money.
Maybe it was 800,000
Yeah, but that's a lot of money.
I don't know. It's just a big mess. So, you know, and, you know, even other people on your cast. Okay, so like, so there was no, you know, obviously, you know, you pay your tax. And that would almost be like my first, like, if I was going to recommend a girlfriend, I'd be like, okay, like if I was on Housewives, I'd be like, hey, Crystal, they want you. Like, just full disclosure, like, you guys,
Teddy said that.
you're good. Like, you don't have like a lot of money hanging out in Puerto Rico
No,
that I
Teddy
don't know
said,
about.
don't do it if you don't have skeletons. I remember thinking, like,
Yeah.
I feel so. What I realize being on this side of it now
Yes.
is just how naive of a person I am, and Rob feels that way.
Yeah.
Because we were like, I said, Rob, oh my God, what if they like say something bad about one of your old movies? Like, that's how far we went. We were like, that's as deep as us feeling
Yeah.
nervous about the audience.
Right.
So when I'm like, why would anyone do that? But then I think on the flip side of like, well, if you are in a financial pickle,
Yeah.
this could be a windfall.
Or if you hate your husband, this is a way to get out
Okay,
and start your own candle company.
Okay, so have you heard of my candle company? I actually, that's interesting. So people are like, you know, when we're like, oh, it creates divorce. Like now, a full year into it,
Yeah.
it doesn't. You go in, whether it's you're ready to or it's going to be a story. That's my theory.
Yeah.
Because it does not affect my family in any way. The show, like you
Yeah.
do it, and then we get home, and it's like Rob and I are playing baseball with the kids. Like it is separate. Even though I'm now, when I read all the like Instagrams or whatever, and I really should, and I have someone who does it for me. But like what are these people doing? You know, you see it a different way.
Yeah.
But that it really doesn't. I don't think unless there's cracks.
Right. And well, I remember asking Adrienne Maloof like early on because she's, you know, was on like over 10 years ago. And of course they got divorced. And at first it was quite contentious. Now it's like they're both really good. And
Was it quick after she started the show?
yeah, it was like within like a year or
Right,
two.
okay.
And they were kind of like a funny bickering couple. Like I kind of like rolling her eyes, kind of laughing. And
Yeah.
And I said to her, I go, you know, and she goes, you know, I didn't think I'd end my days with him before it started. Like she knew it was like, I don't know how much longer, like we're not great. But, you know, but it probably sped it up. It probably
right.
sped it up because you also look back. And I think sometimes women do go on the show that aren't happy with their husband to be like, oh, either he's going to see himself and feel really badly that he snaps at me or whatever,
Right.
or I want the rest of the world to see what a dick he is.
Well, that's already a recipe you're headed to divorce.
You have that already in the front of your mind.
Yes, because
that's what I think.
knowing
I think
my-
it just adds elements to speed up what's kind of inevitable.
Totally, because I would never want my husband to look bad.
Yeah.
because
You're
that
gonna
reflects
stay with
my
him,
family.
and you're going to stay with him for the rest of your life. Yeah, it's like,
So if you're thinking that already,
yeah.
I don't know why anyone would really want to go on TV to do that. But again, I don't know. Everyone has a different circumstance.
Yeah.
So I don't like, I try not to judge why
Right.
someone. So I feel like if you're about to be a single woman and you don't, you know, you've had a lot of money and that's how you don't, like this could be something that you could
Well, I think like
start your candle line.
I think
you know?
for this Noella girl who's like very beautiful, maybe she had heads up, maybe she didn't. She says she's blindsided, but I think it's kind of great she's on the show. Like in this case, it's kind of great because for her, like he's filing and, and now she can, maybe have something going on herself or whatever. And it makes for kind of an interesting season. I mean, your season is extremely juicy, Yeah. And I don't want to put you like in a weird position about it, but it just, one thing I will say about the controversy that everyone's talking about is when you guys went on the hike and where it got miscommunicated to Garcelle, who thought she could bring up a conversation that you guys had. So everyone at home is like, but wait, and I kind of see that because like if I was on a girls trip and one of the girls was going through divorce, which I've been on that girls trip. Yeah. And I'm laying next to the one girl and she reveals something more. I would probably, and now there's 5 of us sitting at dinner and we're all aware that she's going through divorce, but she told me like a little interesting part of it. I would totally be the Garcelle. That would have been like, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but a little extra element what I find interesting. And I think that like, what she said about Tom calling her to Garcelle, that's just interesting and sad part of your divorce. I don't think she ever thought it would somehow. Yeah. And then I think to Erika, she was like, regretted ever revealing it in the first place, whether on camera or off. I think she regretted revealing it. And that's where she started to like,
well, see, like you say you would be the Garcelle, I would still be the Crystal.
Yes.
Whereas I felt like any information that I'm told.
Right.
I don't feel, not anything, because like, but that piece of it to me felt like if she wanted to share it,
she would bring it up to the larger group. Yes.
So when Garcelle said it,
regardless of cameras.
Regardless of cameras.
Yeah, got it.
Because I think that's what's hard about the show is that people are like, she already said it. But when you're in it with just the girls, just because I said something to you doesn't mean that I want to share it with this person.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that there was negative, like there wasn't malicious intent.
Right.
But
not
I'm just
at all.
the type who's like, especially because I just met Erika. So I'm not like, hey, everyone that I just met also, here's information. It's just not my personality in general. And even if I knew you for 10 years, I would not necessarily share that. Just that's who I am.
Yeah.
But I think so that's what it was. I think that it was compounded with so much emotion, so much stress.
Exactly.
She felt like she shared so much. And it was just like, oh, here we're doing it again. That's what I think.
Right.
Like,
yes.
I just did all last night. I just had 2 hours on a mountain. But again, we were there for 2 hours. People see 2 minutes. It's 2 hours.
Right.
And then it's like, now we're doing this again. That's what I assume.
Yes, I do too. And it's like, look, it's very, interesting and juicy and who knows, but when someone's crying, they're crying. It's hard. You feel for them.
But I do want to make something clear.
Yes.
Is when people are like, oh, why didn't Crystal speak up in front of Erika before? I did. That was all.
Oh, okay.
That all happened.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
About it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I
clearing it
did.
up.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
She just was too.
Yeah, drained.
She couldn't hear anything I was saying.
Right.
And
about defending.
Yeah.
That you did defend
her
Garcelle.
pain was just, it was, she could, she just went black.
Yes.
And I kept telling her that she didn't hear it.
Yes.
But that's why I was crying. I was crying because I felt so bad.
Yeah.
The whole room was like, it was so intense. I just felt bad.
Yeah.
And I also felt bad, like, I don't really know these people.
Right.
So it's like watching them as some newer friends, some older friends.
Right.
How they have to navigate this, how to support her pain. I mean, she was really losing it. People say it's fake. Like, it wasn't to me. Again, I'm naive. I don't know. But her crying.
I think her crying and emotions are real. Her life is crumbling.
Yes.
So I do think that's real. It's just an interesting thing to watch in real life, go back 5 months in the news, then watch what you guys are filming. I mean, it's like a puzzle. As a viewer, it's like
for us too.
It's like interactive watching. It's like something that we haven't seen. And then our other favorite season is just not as fun to watch. Like, New York, I'll still watch it all the time. but people just aren't talking about that the way they're,
Yeah.
and enjoying. And I've always, and Beverly Hills has always been, pretty much my favorite because I just like seeing LA and I like seeing, and I, have interviewed all the girls and like all the girls. And so speaking of Kathy Hilton, are you aware of all your properties that you own? And could you have maybe forgotten? Remember when she goes, just call and say, hey, honey, I'm in La Quina. I believe I own a couple properties, but I forgot where they were.
By the way, like, I actually wish I didn't know about all the properties. So that means we have way more money than I think we have. Unfortunately, I'm pretty aware of it. I think we only have I think we have 3.
Okay.
I have my house in China, and we have a rental condo.
Nice.
That's it.
But you also,
I would love to
but
have
you
all these
also have
random
a very, very tiny house, which is your Birkin. Is it your Birkin or Mary's? What is it?
Yeah,
the Birkin
it's a
bag.
Birkin, yeah.
It's a tiny Birkin house purse.
Yes.
What is the story behind that?
Okay, it's so funny. People are like, oh, she's flaunting it. I'm like, I didn't even, like, Kyle has, like, laser beam vision. She's a big, I'm not like a big clothes person, a bag person, but I do, when my friends tell me to, like, I have a lot of friends who are.
Yes.
And they said if it's an investment.
That's what I was going to ask you. I feel like in certain bags like that, it's almost like someone that might invest in Rolexes.
Yes, it's the same
or
thing.
something like that, where it doesn't lose its value. It's not a trendy thing.
Oh no,
it's like a classic.
double now.
Yeah.
So I think people are like, oh, it's so ugly. It's like, I don't think it's the best looking bag. I mean, like, my bags, I wear like Le Sports Sac all day long. Like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
But it's like buying Bitcoin. Like, we invest
And like,
in things.
so they only made 50 of those little house purses.
Yeah. And so I was able to get one, and I did, and it's been a great thing. And when I want to get rid of it, I will.
Yeah.
So that's all it is. It's
okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I'm not a collector of things.
Right.
My husband is. He loves to collect stuff. I'm more of like individual pieces that can, like, I don't like anything that depreciates in general. So it's just a personality thing. So I was like, okay, it's
How long have you been at the house that we see on the show?
4 years. So we built it.
Oh, you built it?
Yeah, from ground
so
up.
So you found the lot, or you had to scrape a house?
There was a house there.
Oh, okay.
So next door are really good friends of ours. And I had been looking for like 2 years from raw land to new build. And it was like 2009. I mean, the market was like down. So every day I was like, oh, I could have something more. My money was worth more. And my neighbor, she called me. She produced a movie for Rob, the one in China. And she's like, I found it. My neighbors are moving after 49 years. You're going to have to tear it down, though.
But that's a dream.
Yeah. And it wasn't like a big house.
Also, it feels good when you tear down a house that is tired, or when you rip out a kitchen that is tired. You want that kitchen to be like 50 years old. Yeah.
From the 50s.
My God, that's the best.
And because I didn't want to tear down
something that was only 15 years
wasteful,
old. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
So we found it, and then we tore it down. But it took us a few years because Rob is like, let's not spend money on ripping down walls that we don't like. Let's just keep designing until we know this is right, and then go for it. And that's what we did. So we've been in there for 4 years, and it's awesome. It's the best, especially in COVID, because I have like, it's hard to find land. And I got a great deal.
Well, buy land. They're not making it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Again, it's like an investment. And,
it's great.
But we were on budget.
And is it close to Kathy's?
Yeah, so I live at the top of Bel Air, and she lives at the bottom.
Oh,
she lives in the rich people Bel Air. I live in the, like, not rich people.
Please.
No, really, there is a big difference, as I'm sure you know. So
okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I went
to
to Kathy's Christmas party.
Oh, you did?
Probably, how long ago was it, Peter? 10 years ago, I was on Chelsea Lately.
Okay.
And, I knew then that she was funny. And I would tell people, no, she's really funny. She does like voices and stuff. People are like, what are you talking about?
I know.
And I'm like, I went to her Christmas party, and like, it was just one of those things that I kind of was shocked I went. And then like, I didn't like pursue that Hollywood friendship. Like, I should have kept writing her, and like, and so I went the one time, and then I was like, why am I here like eating I remember caviar. There was so much caviar.
You probably found me. I was probably there with
And
you,
the
like
people,
courting.
but some of the people were just like really like. I remember
I was probably that person. Free caviar.
I remember this older guy had like these like velvet fancy like slippers, with his fancy suit on, and he was scooping up so much caviar on his plate that it just dropped to the ground next to the velvet slipper, and I was like, oh, that's probably so much money on that floor.
Like $50 on the floor.
She had this big like seafood and appetizer thing, and we thought that was it. So we were all eating pretty big, and then she's like, now come downstairs for the set dinner that was at the downstairs, like all these beautiful tables, like a wedding.
Yeah. I would say it looks like a ballroom downstairs.
I have got to get back into that.
I'll help you.
But listen, I've been talking to her about her coming on because she did a live and someone's like, come on, Juicy Scoop.
Oh.
She's like, what's Juicy Scoop? And they're like, and then someone wrote Heather McDonald. She's like, oh, Heather's a dear friend. I'm like, God, she remembers. She remembers
I'm
the
having
Christmas
dinner
party
with her tonight.
Okay.
So I will
listen, tell her. She's got to come on. And yes.
I'll tell her.
That would be fun because.
Oh, she's awesome.
Yes. So, so you went to Chaminade, which is a Catholic school. What is your religion?
I don't have religion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my parents, when they came from China, there wasn't.
And so, what's Rob? Is he anything?
Rob's Jewish.
So someone asked that, do you raise the kid in anything?
They're raised Jewish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I don't have religion, so I don't I just went there because my parents is a good school.
Well,
half the kids are Jewish there anyway.
My sister, her husband is Jewish.
Yeah.
But he said, well, you can raise the kids Catholic because you're a better Catholic than I am Jew. Like, and he just wasn't like, he was a Beverly Hills Jewish guy that so it's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, so I see that like whoever's kind of a little more into it should sort of take the lead.
Yeah. So for us, it's great because it doesn't compete with anything.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, I'm all about my Chinese culture. It doesn't compete with religion.
Right.
But it's such it works so well because his family's so into my Chinese culture. And I grew up with, all my friends are practically Jewish.
Right.
So like, it was very comfortable for me to marry someone Jewish, I
always remember Jewish families would get Chinese food on Christmas.
It all comes together. It all makes sense, So yeah, it's really, and it's funny, people are like, how do you, what's the secret to staying married? For me, I'm like, look, everyone's like, oh, I need to love, right? Like, of course, love is there. But like lifestyle and values and family, that's the base of us,
Yeah.
And our love is always there. But like, if we couldn't agree on that, like that would be really hard.
So how many years are you guys on?
On
marriage.
Marriage?
Have you hit 20 yet?
No. We will be married 14 years next month.
14. Okay. Yeah.
And together 18 years.
Yeah.
8.5 years, yeah.
Nice.
Long time. Yeah.
So anyway, we're 21 years. And what I tell people when they go
20 years married?
21 years married.
Oh my God, amazing.
And so what I tell people is, and this is really true now as my kids get older and stuff, because there's hard years and there's ups and downs and friends are getting divorced and they're, you see that they're like so in love with the guy they've been dating 3 months. Or I remember this one friend of mine said, so-and-so who's, dating some new guy, she was getting her nails done and after we were done getting our nails done and she went to go pay, the girl said, oh, your boyfriend, Joe, whatever, called in and paid for it. I mean, and I'm like, I don't think Peter knows where I get my nails done. Like, I could be, like, dead. I don't think he knows where, but, like, you're trying to charm someone, and I'm like, well, is that guy going to be doing that 10 years down the road? Like, so it's like, but I always also say, like, do you envision yourself, or do you want to babysit your grandchildren with him? And if you do, just like hang tight.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's the end goal.
Yes.
Like, it's like, and it's so funny then when you do see your parents being grandparents and they're like my parents, people would go, oh, your parents are so cute coming to the baseball games together. I'm like, they weren't cute in 1988. They were not. I was like, could someone call a divorce attorney? You two are assholes. There's high school kids running around. There's businesses that they're growing and they're like, and then it like settles down. So it's that, but it is the same kind of values and and like how they treat their mom and all that kind of stuff that is the things that you really should be looking for.
Totally, because that's what you hold on
your whole
to.
life. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you watching how he treats my family. It's like, and then I see how he treats my kids. Like
Yeah.
I already knew that he would
Yeah.
instill great values in my kids.
Right.
You know, and he does. Like, it's,
Yeah.
you know, but he makes movies for children. I mean, he's a child.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like that far away.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's been good.
So, okay, let's talk a little bit about more of the show. Now, I know you and Sutton are good now.
Yeah.
Because I follow you guys and you're liking each other's things and all that. But it was a little bit off to not a great start.
Yes.
And there was a moment that I thought was pretty juicy when you're in Lake Tahoe.
Okay.
And I think she was a little buzzed. You were making your cocktails, so you're a little bit to blame. And and she's like, you know, and I always try to remind people now, remember this was filmed a week before the election. Everybody was talking about this stuff with their friends.
Yeah.
So don't bitch and say, why is this show political? That's all anyone talked about.
What's so funny, Art? Like I get thrown into that. That's the only conversation we've had on our entire show so far about. It's so weird.
And so you're talking a little bit about. I don't remember how it started.
Yeah.
But you did say she's like everybody's the same to me or something, and then you go,
Are you that girl?
are you that girl that's going to try to say you don't see color?
Yeah.
And I really appreciated you saying that because I remember watching Oprah because I'd ride my bike home from Catholic school and try to get there. I'd always be about 15 minutes into the show because you couldn't DVR it back then. And I just remember there was this episode about racism and everything. And they're like, if you see a couple walking down the street and the guy's black and the girl is white, do you see a couple or do you see an interracial couple? And they're like, just be honest with yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's okay. And then the person, nobody's colorblind. You know how people would always be like, I don't care if you're white, black, or purple. Well, nobody's purple. And if you were purple, that'd be pretty fucking weird.
I know.
So it's like, you know, so I kind of thought that was good. And I think like what's hard about today and with younger generation being so like wanting to point if someone says the wrong word or, you know, it's like the best part, I'm a comedian, and the best part about comedy is watching comedians of different backgrounds talk about their mom and their culture and their growing up. We don't want to just hear that everyone had the same childhood.
Correct.
That's the funniest part is when someone's like, my mom was Indian and this, you know, and like, so I like that. And I don't think it shouldn't be not discussed. I think that's what's cool, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very challenging night.
Yeah.
It actually freaked me out because it was my third night of shooting. So I'm like, oh my, like, is this what this is about? This whole experience of signing on to the show was a little bit, because there was a lot more that went on and I felt like a little pressed about it. So yeah, I'm not that kind of person. I don't just jump out.
No, it did, but it didn't seem like that either, though.
It was just
seemed like a general.
Well, because I just wanted to share my experience, and I'm married, even though Rob's Jewish.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of anti-Semitism out there. He's still white. My kids are half white. So I understand, and Rob and I talk a lot about it with our friends, like the fear that, like, if you're white, to talk about it, what you're going to say wrong or right. Like, so I totally understand that, and I never want to go after someone like that.
Right.
So for me, I was like, I always try to speak on how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So I think when that happened, that she was like, no,
She was like, no, because she was
afraid.
afraid.
She was afraid.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've talked
to say
about
the
it
wrong
since.
thing.
Yeah. But I think maybe just don't say anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, so I think that, it was so challenging, but it wasn't the first time I've had that conversation with someone, like similar conversation.
Right.
Who kept fighting me. I don't, you know, like, there is a point where I'll just give up. Because they're like, I don't see color. And I'm like, okay. Like, that's, because I actually know your intention. I know where you're coming from.
You're trying to say, I don't, I would never discriminate someone based on that. And I believe you. Like, that's not why you're going to hire someone or not hire someone to be someone's friend.
Yeah.
But it's that general thing that then, because now it's like, I really did like when you said, I think that's, and this was very intuitive of you, when you said, I think it's because maybe that's how her generation, and not that she's that much older than you, but even like 10 years older than you makes a difference. And that's my age. And, you know, and I've talked about this before. It's like we were raised, if we had a friend that wasn't white or whatever, we were to, you know, obviously treat them wonderfully, but not point out the fact that they.
And I respect that worked then.
But then you kind of look back now, and with my black friend at Louisville, Keisha, who was a cheerleader, she dated the guys we all dated. She was at the slumber parties. Her mom was like, no, but I was like, maybe it would have been nice if someone was like, is it ever hard for you? But like we were taught from our parents,
don't talk about it.
Don't point it out and make them feel different. Just be the most lovely person you can be.
And I just came off an entire summer. So like at Chaminade, my brother's friends, like his group is like I have a very mixed group. His group is super mixed. Like a lot of the boys, black. Yeah. And so they came over for a barbecue, and this is before I started shooting. Yeah. And we were talking about it, and one of his friends, who's black, said, like, I never told you guys how hard it was for me, that you guys, like, I always felt like the black kid in the room. And there's another friend who's black. But he was like, you guys don't know what I went through. And it was so just eye-opening to hear his perspective. And, you know, they're all still best friends, but he was like, how do you think I felt being the black kid in this whole, like, white or mixed group? And we were just, I was like, wow, like, I have so much to learn about. Yeah. You know, just because I'm not white, it doesn't mean that I don't have my own personal reckoning with racism and my biases. Right. So, like, but I'm also someone who loves to dive deep into that. Yeah. And maybe it's because I'm not white, I'm less fearful of talking about it. Right. So I get that. I give grace to people who are afraid. And I'm not afraid. I'm just like, I'm Asian. I've had racist stuff come at me, but I'm dealing with my own personal stuff. Yeah. So that's why I like to talk about it. And then it was... And I will say, like, I didn't drink on the show. Yeah. So I was very clear-minded. Yeah. Which maybe if I had a drink, I'd be like, not be so intense about conversations. But
no, I really, like I said, I thought it came off great. And I mean, you know, and so I like
it's just who I am.
You know, I like the open dialogue and stuff. And it's like, because I said, you know, like I wrote on with the Wayans brothers. And I was sometimes the only woman in the room, but the only white woman. And it was the best experience of my life. But we talked about it. We talked about our childhoods and the funny things that were different because we're comedians. Right. Like it wasn't, you know, and I just think sometimes.
But it's also because you felt safe, right? Yeah, it's a safe space.
Yes. And so I just sometimes think younger people and in this environment, they don't understand that exactly what you said. It's the intent. The intentions are not bad. Yeah. But if we can't ask questions, then we're not going to grow. And it's like, and sometimes people would just rather just not touch this subject at all.
Well, I think also that like every conversation I've had about it has always been very positive. Yes. Because if you know me, I'll put you in a safe space. Yeah. I think because it was my very first time talking to Sutton that night. My first time ever talking to her. Like, at all. So she didn't know me. Right. And also she's probably on guard, like who's this new girl talking about whatever. Yeah. She didn't feel safe. Right. But I come from a safe place, but she didn't. So it just was like, and then it spiraled.
And then it continued because then she thought she's being nice bringing in the coat, but she knocked and didn't talk and then walked in and you're like, that was weird. And I think 95% of people can agree that's not cool.
Well, for me, it's like you can knock. But you have to
wait for you to say a second.
A knock is a question. It's not an answer. Yeah, yeah. And I did not answer at all.
You know, I started to realize that I kind of did that with my kids. And I'm like, oh, I better stop. I better stop now because I'm like, you know, they're older and like, that's not cool. Yeah. And like,
but this came off the heels. People were like, oh, you're on a girls trip. Like that was the second night I met her. First night was our very intense conversation about race. Second night, she blamed me for the drinking game. Yeah. And I was just trying to help her. Genuinely. I was like, because I could feel that she was feeling left out. Right. So I'm like, here, I'm going to get you into it. The game, I wanted to make her feel. And then she started telling everyone, screaming at everyone that I was kicking her. And I really felt scared, actually, at the time.
What do you mean kicking her?
Like that I kicked her.
Like under the table or something?
Yeah, because I kicked her. Don't you remember that?
Wait, what part
And
was
she's
that?
like, you kicked me after the drinking game.
Oh, that's right. Oh, but about the lie about the drinking game.
And I was like,
so then
no, I was nudging you
to like play along.
to help you.
Yeah.
Because you felt left out.
Right.
No one told me. I just figured it out.
Figured out that they were faking the vodka being water.
Because I'm not drinking. So I'm like, everyone's drinking.
Yes.
And I see everyone like getting a little messy. And I'm like, this is what's happening. Because I could,
yes.
you know. So, because I could see how Lisa was ordering the drink from the waitress.
Yes.
She's like, you want a girl, you know, I was like, okay, well, there's something going on.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to help her. And then I remember feeling like scared. I was like, I was already so on edge just filming.
Yeah.
But then after the conversation we had the night before, and then she's telling everyone that I was kicking her, I suddenly was like, am I going to be seen as a violent person? Because even though it's funny watching it back, they made it kind of wacky.
Right.
In the moment, it didn't feel funny. It was very scary for me.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've gone through it. We're good. And, like, she was going through a lot, which I didn't know that. That's the funny thing. People were like, oh,
and we don't know it. Do we know what she's going through? Just
well,
the
she's
move?
saying the move.
The move and all that.
But I had not heard that.
Yeah.
She had told, like, I got to see, because the audience gets to see private conversations.
Right.
But we don't.
Right.
They don't tell me what you guys talked about.
Yeah, and that she's stressed.
Yeah, so I get to see it, in a clip before. So I'm not told that. I'm just told that I'm being violent.
Yeah, yes.
For helping someone in a joke.
Right.
It's all laughable in the end, and it's all nonsense. But it's just compounded with the stress of filming that I was like, what did I...
So I think my favorite part of you is when when you're sitting there. Now she's all upset because she is the queen of giving a gift. She's a queen of giving a gift, and somehow she missed bringing a gift for Garcelle. And you know, that is, I think, really what kind of set her off. Like, fuck, they got a gift. They didn't tell me that I should bring a gift, or I missed the memo, or whatever. And she is the best gift giver ever. That is her jam. So, like, I think now she's like, I didn't bring a gift. And she's just like, I'm just not comfortable here. I'm just, you know. Yeah. And then you guys sit down where everyone's obsessed with those fans that, so the flies don't cover the brie. And then you sit down and then you're like, I think you're just, what did you say? A strange, awkward, a little awkward.
Yeah. But it actually was after when I came down.
Yeah.
We heard all this commotion.
Yeah. Of an argument by the bar.
Yeah. We were like, oh my God, they're fighting.
Yeah.
Like I know it's so funny. People were like, oh, Crystal with her face. Like,
but the face.
No, but I'm saying before at the table. Like, I didn't know. I had no idea.
Right.
At the time.
I understand that
and
part.
I was like, oh my God, they're like, Jesus, what happened? You know? And then we come down. I was like, me? Like, what did I do?
How did I get thrown in this again?
It was so wild to me. And then I remember someone laughed at me, like, come on, Crystal, like, back at it, like, laughing at me. I'm like, come on, like, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Please, God, like, let me just leave this place, you know? And then it just got crazy because I just felt like we had been there for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it was all going well. And then I'm like, why me? Like, I didn't do anything. And I didn't really understand the gift until later.
That was upsetting.
Yeah, because I didn't see it happening.
Yeah.
I didn't know what happened. So I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, why am I being yelled at? Like, I'm just trying to have a peaceful night, praying to God I'll have a peaceful night.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't. I was like, it just made no sense.
And the best is then when she's like, what do you think I'm jealous of? Your ugly leather pants. And it's the best because you have your hands. First of all, the pants are super cute. They're like jogger style with like a nipped in waist. And everyone is just like, your face was just so like.
I literally didn't know what to do.
But you were like, it was just the editing. Was just so amazing.
I know, it was so funny.
It's like people have been doing like memes of it. Like,
I know, I've seen so it's by the way, it's so weird to actually be in any
Where are
meme.
the leather pants from?
ALC.
Oh, okay. They're super cute.
So cute.
They're I think she just thought she just didn't know they were in yet. You're a little ahead of your time.
But I was like, I think I was like a little out of my body, and also I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, that's not something that.
Yeah, like who cares? Like, I know these pants are cute.
It's my pants. But even that,
Yeah.
like, if you don't like my pants, it's irrelevant to me because it's not, I don't care.
Yeah.
So I remember just like, wow, like, someone just yelled at me about my pants. Like, it was so absurd. And so you just had to laugh at it because I'm also like, not going to cry.
I think people did laugh.
Yeah.
It was like a funny moment, and it was just like her like losing it, and then so it's nice to see that you guys like worked it out. It's the juiciest season ever. I love all the different elements. How many episodes do we have left around? Do you know?
I think we're just past the halfway mark.
And when are you guys scheduled to do your reunion? Do you know?
No, I don't have it yet.
Well, that's going to
sure
be
it's soon.
off the hook.
Right? It's
yes.
gotta be soon.
Are you already thinking about what you're going to wear?
No, because I get like a little bit of guidelines.
Yeah.
So I'll just wait. Like, I don't really care.
I mean, you have a great body. Tall, fabulous. So whatever you wear will look good.
Yeah, fashion's not my thing again. So it's like, whatever.
Well, I'm sure you'll have people just dying to dress you. So like, just let them bring the dresses over and take full advantage. What is like your like hope in going forward in being on this show, and like, what are your thoughts? Because I see you do the cooking stuff, which is really fun.
Yeah. So,
and I
so
like
I
watching that
So
on
I don't think you'll
Instagram.
know this, but I own a company. I have a coconut water company.
Okay, what's it called?
It's called Real Cocoa.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's yours?
Yeah, in Costco. And
When did you start that?
9 years ago.
Oh, my.
I know. People don't know because it's not on the show.
Oh, my God. Like, everyone just thinks that you're just buying little tiny house purses.
I
Instead,
know.
you're selling water at my favorite store at Costco.
I know. It's weird to see this sort of like
persona that they're kind of presenting.
People are like, I know. I think I clap. I try not to, but someone's like, "What else do you do other than being gold or whatever?" I'm like, "Well, I sold $25 million this year, but other than that, And they're like, "Oh, well, I guess I have to try."
You're like, Rob's lucky that he fucking snagged me.
I was like,
I was the best investment that Rob ever made. Okay.
Yeah. So I started with my best friend from Chaminade.
Oh wow.
And my brother.
Oh my God! Like, this is such an amazing entrepreneurial story that nobody knows.
No one knows, but it's okay.
Breaking news on Juicy Scoop. Yeah.
No one knows, and it's okay because it's not a new company that I needed to promote. It's a running business that I have, and it's okay. Like, that's the thing is that it's like we were talking about the divorce and like what people think or like the escort thing. Is that people are like, they think this.
Yes.
I am so secure in what I do and who I am. That's like, okay,
wait,
you don't know about my business. So
there
it's
is a skeleton thing that I thought was hilarious. What happened? You got a ticket in Arizona.
Oh yeah,
What
I
was
told Teddy that.
That somebody like went and found this thing. She was arrested in Arizona.
No, I told Teddy that.
Okay,
there was
so
this
what
running.
happened?
I did Teddy's podcast.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I'm like, something happened. I was like, oh, well, I have a warrant for arrest in Arizona, but I won't. But like, that's something else. And she goes, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
So it never got
back to the story.
Of course, because people like what I realize is that people just pick up a blurb.
Typing. Yeah.
I was in high school and I was there in Flagstaff.
Yes.
For graduation.
Okay.
And my dad was in the car. My brother was in the car. And it was like a 4-way stop. Yeah. And I was facing forward to go onto campus. Yeah. But it's graduation. There's a lot of cars. Yes. And there was like traffic police. And so I'm at the stop sign and they're letting people go parallel to me, straight, but not left in front of me.
Yes.
So I was like, this is inefficient. So I started slowly moving forward thinking two parallel lines. And then I see it was a woman like just like flailing her arms. Yeah. And so the next police officer pulls me over because I think she radioed him. Yeah. And he comes over and he's like, after I see her like flailing and talking to him and so upset. And then he comes over, he's like, she said you tried to run her over with your car. And I was like, I'm in an like I'm literally 16, 17 years old. I have like barely have my license. Yeah. And we explained, he's like, okay, your story sounds normal story. Yeah. He's like, let me go back and talk to her. He goes back, he comes back, and he says, look, I didn't pull you over. She is adamant about this. I'm in Flagstaff, so I don't know what the deal is.
She was the original Karen?
Yeah, right. She was, exactly. So I was like, he's like, I have to give you a ticket. And on the ticket, it wrote, like, criminal, like, using your
car as a weapon. Oh.
So obviously I was freaked. I was a kid,
Yeah.
freaked out. My dad, we were all freaked out. But we went to the graduation. I got home and I called and the bailiff or whatever assistant, answered, and she said, "Why don't you fax me?" And people are like, "This doesn't happen." I was like, "I don't know what else to tell you. Like, I'm not a lawyer, but this is what my life was like. This is what happened." And she's like, "Can you fax? The judge wants you to fax over what happened."
Yeah.
And I drew the diagram.
Yeah.
I don't even think I could print it.
Yeah.
And he said, "I can't dismiss this unless you're here.
Yeah.
Like, you have to fly here." And he's like, "Do you ever plan on coming back to Flagstaff?" I was like, "No, I don't want to ever go back to anywhere near that." I was like crying, He's like, "Okay, so if you get pulled over, there's a war in Flagstaff. I'm going to have to arrest you, whatever, but it's going to be over by the time you're 25. So he's like, I remember he's like, "Just don't come back to Flagstaff for a while." I was like, "Okay." And that was it. That's the story. It's a ridiculous story that blew into this.
That's what I just thought.
Even my friend who's PR, she's like, "What is this arrest story? You have a warrant?" I was like, "Oh my God."
Compared to the other housewives, this is like the most non-juicy crime story ever. And that's what I think is so funny about it. Because I read it, I actually talked about it on the show. I'm like, look, and I'm like, full disclosure, I rolled through a stop sign. I called,
it was
let
essentially
it happen.
rolling through one.
Yes.
And it is, but it was like, I said,
the
"Rob."
world know.
I know. I was like, "Rob," he's like, "Wow, your first article about having a warrant, you're in." I was like, "Oh,
You're
God."
badass.
Yeah, so that's the lame. All my stories are actually much lamer than what the audience wants from me. So I feel sad about it sometimes, the escort thing.
Yes.
Wah. But it is what it is. I don't know. I'm just an average kid from North.
I love Crystal. You were more delightful than I thought you would be, even, and I had high hopes. I really love learning so much more about you.
Thank you.
I did not know you went shaman. I did not know you did the cocoa water. What is that? Real cocoa. I know how you met the husband. So I think the Juicy Scoopers are going to really know you. I hope you stay on the show for at least a few more years and, get to see. I want to see Hot Brother back. So
I would love my brother to come back. He's a little bit stuck in China, but I miss him.
Yes, he's got to come back and have some fun with us. Anyway, thank you so much. Tell everyone where they can follow you, because I love your Instagram and you do lots of fun cooking things and stuff.
Thank you. It's Crystal Kung Minkoff. That's my name. And the food is really my passion, and that's why I started the company. And so it's fun to just cook and show what I actually do at home.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Well, thank you to Crystal. You guys, I'm so excited. I am going out on the road. You've got to go to heathermcdonald.net for your tickets and come see me. Next stop is Seattle with Justin Martindale, and I will be there September 10th and 11th, 2 shows on the 11th. So if you don't get into the first 2, come to the 3rd, late Saturday night. Love to see you there. Bye.